It's Sunday, February 8th. We're going to do the astrology for the 8th through the 14th this week. A couple of big things on the horizon. We just had Neptune enter Aries a couple weeks ago. We had the full moon in Leo last week. And then at the end of this week, Saturn is going to be joining Neptune in Aries, okay? And then 4 days later, on the 17th, we have the solar eclipse in Aquarius at 29 degrees, and that ushers in the year of the fire horse. But before we get there, this week, we're still finishing up with Saturn at 29 degrees Pisces, as well as the final pieces of that shedding associated with the year of the wood snake. So things could be coming up this week for sure. On a personal level, on a collective level, we see that pretty clearly. You can kind of see what's happening with like the Epstein files and just this whole shakeup of authority. Okay, this kind of authority that was established during the last Saturn-Neptune conjunction in 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell. The left and the right collapsed as a story, and then it became top-down power control when Neptune entered Pisces in 2011, 2012. Now we enter this age of deception and collectively deceiving the populace and dividing the populace. With Neptune now in Aries, out of Pisces, with the final days of that Saturn-Neptune cycle that was established in 1989 and the new one on the horizon, things are collapsing. So the whole structure of power that was able to develop under that energy is now under collapse, and we're watching it in real time. On a personal level, I've been having some pretty weird dreams this past week. So things are coming up for release because it is the end. Saturn's finishing up a 30-year cycle. When it entered Aries in 1996, that started the 30-year cycle. Now, when it exits Pisces and enters Aries again, we have a new cycle. Neptune, we go back to 1861. That was the last time Neptune entered Aries, and so that cycle has already ended here in the last couple of weeks. So when Saturn enters Neptune, we've got that Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, which is like a clean slate starting point. I go well into this on my video on my YouTube page, Christopher Taylor - Sovereign Harmony Astrology. Saturn-Neptune conjunction Aries, you can find it pretty easily. And I dive into the whole cycle itself, where we're at now, etc. But we'll have more on that next week because that's when the exact conjunction will be. However, once Saturn enters Aries, here on Friday the 13th, actually, that's going to, it'll already be in 1 degree orb with Neptune at 0 degrees Aries. So it'll be a couple week period where it's within 1 degree of each other. It's exact on the 20th of February. So we'll talk more about that next week. And we'll talk more about the solar eclipse in Aquarius, 29 degrees, and that year of the fire horse. Because right now, we do want to focus on that final release phase, okay? And what's interesting is that as Neptune has recently left Pisces after 14 years. Now Saturn is leaving Pisces after 3 years. It's a lot of ending and healing work that has been done. Now the personal planets are getting in on it. So just a couple days ago on February 6th, Friday, we had Mercury enter Pisces. Now Mercury's going to usually, it could spend as little as 3 weeks in a sign when it's in its full speed, but it's actually going to spend over 9 weeks in Pisces this time around. So it'll be in Pisces from February 6th till April 14th. In fact, because it will retrograde, and that retrograde will take place late February through the March equinox, which is when the astrological new year starts, when things really start moving forward. But as Mercury is in Pisces, it's acting, like I said last week, like a Roomba. It's kind of picking up the dust and the pieces and whatnot. But it's also pulling in the other personal planets. So we'll have Venus this Tuesday on the 10th enter Pisces, where it's exalted. Okay, so a lot of healing can happen there too. So it's like we're coming out of this collective endings, and now on a personal level, we're kind of trying to see where we can fit in that. Okay, and so Venus exalted in Pisces is going to allow us to see, really a new awareness of our value in this changing paradigm that's happening. Okay, and then on the heels of that, when the Sun enters Pisces, when it does, typically around February 18th, 19th, whenever that is, that'll be the next planet in Pisces, and then finally Mars will enter Pisces in early March. Okay, so all the personal planets are in that line still, with Mercury leading the way right now. By the time we get to the end of the Mercury retrograde, Mercury will be behind all the planets again. Okay, and then it'll enter Aries in April, where the personal planets would have already been. Okay, and so all those personal planets entering Aries in the next couple months, they're all going to be hitting that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Okay, so it really is launching our personal role with the collective evolution. That's what's happening right now. And so just understand that on the collective level, we're coming to the endings. On a personal level, we still got to go through this processing, this cleansing, and this reorientation. because as each of these personal planets enter Pisces, within a week or so, they will join the north node, the moon's north node in Pisces, okay? And so that's been going on for a little over a year now with north node in Pisces. And so it starts with Mercury here this week. Then the following week, Venus will conjunct the north node in Pisces. Then we'll have the sun do the same thing in late February, and then in early March, Mars will do that as well. And so it's really begging us to intuitively orient ourselves to our new true north. It's, think of it like our compass is spinning right now. We're not really sure what to do because things are collapsing, okay? And as things are collapsing, it's hard to know where to put our feet. And what we're being asked to do in these next month or so is to allow our intuition to orient us to our new true north and what our new path is going to be, so we can fulfill our personal role in this collective. So it is a time of trust, faith, and ultimately knowing that, you know, we've probably been oriented to the wrong direction based on our ego, and now intuitively we want to be led where we need to be led. Okay, and just before all these personal planets are entering Pisces, they are making a conjunction to Uranus in Taurus, which is now direct. Uranus went direct last week. So we just had Mercury square Uranus from Aquarius to Taurus this past week. Right now, as we speak this weekend, Venus is squaring Uranus. And then we'll have the sun do the same thing in association with that solar eclipse. Okay, so that will be, again, part of next week's talk. We'll go more into depth with that. And then Mars will make that same square as well. And what this is a sense of a shakeup. Okay, and so that shakeup energy is going to ripple out for a few months. It's not something that happens immediately, but we are right now, as we're moving into these personal planets in Pisces, we're getting a little shakeup, getting a little like pre-quake. Like, you know, sometimes there's a major earthquake, but there's pre-quakes leading up to it. So we're in that. That's part of what's coming up right now in our dream state and things like that. Old issues that need to come up for resolution. So just understand that, because that shakeup is ultimately going to be a good thing. But we need to be prepared for it. So we're kind of being physiologically and spiritually prepared for the shakeups that are on the way. And that'll be associated with the eclipse season that's coming up. But again, we'll talk about that next week. So I'm going to leave it at that. There's a lot of stuff going on. So just allow what's coming up to come up. Understand that we need to cleanse and process a little bit, okay, over the next coming weeks, and that forward movement is on the way, and it will be here sooner than we think, even if it feels delayed. But, you know, within a couple of months, by the time we get to, like, say, April, things will be moving pretty quickly, and the shakeups will be pretty obvious. So just allow our true north to be reoriented as it needs to be, not how we want it to be on an ego level, but as we need it to be on a spiritual level. So enjoy your week, enjoy your Sunday. If you have any questions, please let me know. Whether you're following me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, do leave a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can see my updates next week. And if you want to look at your personal chart, I do personal readings. You can do that as well. Just contact me and we'll set that up. So again, enjoy your day, enjoy your week, and we'll talk to you soon.